What up, Steve?
GM.
Oh, here he is. How we doing, man?
What's up, guys? Long time no see.
Yeah, it feels like we get to do this when the market is exciting again, and we get to talk about the new cool shit you're building. So excited to dive
We're
in.
s- we're so back, baby. Let's go.
We are. So Steve, you've been building Party for the past few years, which is an app making it easy to pool money and coordinate on chain. And most recently, you're the builder of TBD, which is a new way to explore and trade base coins. So yeah, I guess can you tell us more about what TBD is and what drove you to build it? I think it was maybe a response to Jesse's tweet, but obviously you felt it was a good idea and there was some kind of intuition underlying your desire to actually go spend time on this. So
Yeah, so I don't want to give Jesse all the credit. I actually started prototyping it before the request for product. But
Good
I will
stuff.
say the request for product was kind of a kick in the pants to be like, okay, there's clearly going to be interest in this. Other people are going to try to build stuff around it. And I felt like I kind of had a unique edge of building in the EVM ecosystem for a long time, spent a long time thinking about the best way to index and explore data, as well as thinking about market mechanics, LP, etc. So I felt like I kind of had some unique skills and insights to apply here to really create an interesting way to explore this ecosystem that was really popping off when I started building it. So um, I know that we're talking a lot about creator coins and Zora as of like the recent action of the past couple days, but I also want to remind people that when the base app came out in beta, there was just a huge amount of new data flowing in on chain. Every single post is a coin by default, which was pretty interesting. To be candid, I was very skeptical at first when I saw that when I opened up the base app by default, you would create a token with every single post. Very skeptical, but especially as I start to get older, I'm trying to be more optimistic and open to new things here. And I was like, okay, this is happening. There's a huge amount of data coming in on chain. There's definitely some alpha to be had here because some of these coins are popping off. One of the best things I can do to try to really see how this plays out is to dive deep into the data and mechanics of what's going on here. So that was kind of my inspiration for building out this tool first as myself. And then when I saw that public request for product, I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and build a public tool and try to understand what's going on here with other folks as well.
So, I mean, it looks like TBD is very much organized around time, and so you have trending coins, I guess, and newest coins.
Mm-hmm.
There's sort of this default to recency and to first mover advantage, which is clearly a core dynamic of meme coins. I'm curious, you're saying there's a bunch of other data that's coming through. Do you think there are other data pieces or filtering mechanisms that are relevant here beyond just trying to be first?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's kind of like two pieces of data that we index on our back end. There's the on-chain data, every single post that's get created gets like near instantly inserted into our backend system. But then there's also the off-chain data, which is the social graph. I guess with Snap Chain, you could maybe say that it's decentralized in some way, but realistically, everyone's just getting this data from Nanar, right? So we get all the on-chain data, and then we get all the Farcaster data because every base app profile is also a Farcaster profile. And I think that's where the most interesting insights come in. So we saw this with Clanker was the first real big example of this. And then with the Believe app, and now with the base app, that launching a token directly from your socials is like a huge differentiator compared to just launching something on PubFund with a Solana address that no one knows about, or maybe there's the ENS equivalent associated with it, but people aren't paying as much attention. When you launch a coin, whether it's through Believe or through Clanker or through the base app, the fact that it instantly gets surfaced to all of your followers, and there is already a graph that developers like myself can follow to try and understand, might this have value, who is this relevant to, etc. I think that's where the data is really interesting. So one of the things that you can do to like hunt for alpha on TBD.Market is to not just see all the new coins coming in very quickly. You can also filter by number of followers, for example. And that's a place where a lot of people get alpha. Just show me a stream of all the new coins that are being created with people than more than 500 followers, for example. It's a naive algorithm, but candidly, it definitely surfaces some alpha so early right now. And as we continue to build out the project, you'll see even more interesting things done with the social data that we have. So the fact that when you log into our system, we know your Farcaster username if you link to Farcaster, and we can use all that social data to surface things that are interesting or relevant to you, I think is really powerful, and things that only this kind of new class of token launchers that are directly linked with social. I think it's a big advantage for these new platforms.
So when you guys went and launched your TBD token, you did it through a base post. So I'm curious how you kind of make sense of the, launching a token through a base post, or, through, you could have gone and launched a Zora creator coin, or done it as a Zora post. You could have launched a Clanker. I guess, like, why is it
we could have launched it. There are so many.
You could have launched it. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget launching. There are so many different ways to launch a token these days. Everybody wants to you to use their token launchpad, and there's a million different options with a million different trade-offs. And I've seen launches through all different kinds of them. Got rugged, made money on some, etc. I've been there. The decision to launch it on the base app was not about the base app having gigabrain mechanics for their token launch. They're actually really naive. I'll speak a little bit about the TBD token, and then also I just want to share a little bit how the base app token launches underneath the hood, so people kind of understand what they're getting into when they do that. So we launched it just because we were focused around the base app, and we said it would be weird to launch the token on anything other than the ecosystem that we're exploring. So that's, very simple. That's why we did it there. We also felt like there was some unique first mover advantage of making it on the base app, but actually having like a real interesting app behind it instead of just being, a photo of someone's breakfast. So we thought that was kind of unique. But I will say, for somebody who's looking to launch a token for a project as opposed to a photo of their brunch, there are some really big trade-offs in launching on the base app. Candidly, it's really naive right now. So, and I'm really interested to see where it evolves. So just so everyone knows, when you make a post on the base app, it automatically creates a token. That token's an ERC20. It is single-sided, LP'd on Uniswap. It's paired with ETH. This is different than all the Zora Creator Coin stuff. So it's paired with ETH. You automatically get 1% of the supply. You get 1% of all the trading fees that occur. And that's it, right? So as people who watch Seed Club, you could be like, okay, there's a lot of things that we've learned from token launchers of why that might be flawed. It can get sniped. The team doesn't get a huge amount of the supply. They only get a small amount. The supply instantly goes to your wallet. It doesn't vest over time, right? So there's all these things that make it less than ideal for launching an app through, but we want to do it just for the sake of launching in the ecosystem that we were exploring. But I do think that there's a fine line kind of between, launching something with 4-year vesting with team members, allocating 25% and starting with deeper liquidity on a different curve versus, just firing off a post and seeing what happens. So I'm going to be really interested to see how things evolve with like the default parameters, with the mechanisms of launching on things like the base app as they get more usage and there's more activity on chain here, because I think it's a good start. I think it's a great start. I could see why they launched with it with these first set of constraints, but it's going to have to evolve over time.
Did you do things to mitigate some of those issues on your end? Like, I personally love it when the devs of something have a lot of aligned incentives with me, especially if I want to hold tokens over a long time. So, the idea of you guys only holding 1% of this token supply is not very appealing to me, but clearly there are other things you can go do to sort of mitigate them. The simplicity or the naivete of a launch doesn't sort of limit you from being able to do other things, such as buy tokens, etc. I'm curious, did you think through other ways of mitigating these things, or is that still a work in progress?
Yeah, so we pooled some funds together, me and my other collaborators on the project. So we were able to pool some capital and acquire more of the token supply. But again, we had to do that on the liquidity pool that was deployed. So we had to pay, non-trivial amount of ETH for that. Also, when you launch on the base app, you're beholden to their backend services that launch the token for you. So actually, the first time we posted it, it didn't create the token because of some backend error on their part. So we were like, do we make a new one? We don't want there to be two. Eventually we got in touch with the team. We made a new one and it did launch. But when it launched, it's very different than confirming a MetaMask transaction yourself and instantly having the CA and just being quick to be able to buy it up yourself. You're waiting on a backend system that you don't know when it is going to post, when it will appear. And because it's social by default, other people can see the post at the same time as you can. So the buy that we did to scoop up more of the supply for ourselves was at a worse price execution than some other people who just saw the post early. So it was really far from ideal.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We have a question from Frank here who's asking if the focus is on analytics and insights or trading or more as like a trading terminal and execution.
Right now, the focus is on like analytics and insights. Although we do have trading functionality, that was just because that's where kind of like our edge was with the product. And we just use an on-chain swap widget right now. It's like relatively simple. That being said, I worked at 0x back in the day. I have a lot of experience building, bots and Web3 interactions for trading with my work as party as well. So I will say that we're scheming on some things that take advantage of that unique skill set to be able to have more functionality when it comes to actually like trade execution and buying these tokens. So there'll be more there as we develop it.
Awesome. Maybe last quick question before we let you go. So you've been building at the intersection of social and tokens for years at Party. So I'm just curious what your general kind of thoughts on this current moment we're in are. Like, does it feel different this time? Do you feel like we're actually onto something sustaining, or does this kind of rhyme with stuff that you've seen over the past 4 years?
It does feel like it rhymes with stuff that I've seen over the past few years. I feel like you could take this euphoria and apply it to a past moment like friend tech, and it looks different, but it's adjacent, right? I do think that there's a lot of interesting competitive players here. I think that the thing that I'm most interested in, like I described earlier, is like the tightly coupled social part of it, like Clinker, Believe, Base App, and Zora now. The things that they have is this like distribution through social and like tied with folks who have some sort of social graph that you can access programmatically. I think that's the most interesting thing about the moment that we're seeing right now. I do think that people are getting overly euphoric and coming to some, conclusions that seem pretty far away from me. Like I said, I was very hesitant about coining everything. I still don't necessarily think that makes sense, but I do think that digital artifacts that people create on the internet do have some intrinsic value to them, and it makes sense for people to be able to collect and trade them. Do I think that every single piece of content should be a ERC20 paired with ETH, which the creator gets 1% supply? No, I don't think that's the final form. I think there's a lot of like kind of naive thinking around that, but I do think it's a good start, and I do think it's going to evolve into something more sustainable. And the best thing that I can do as an engineer is try to understand what's going on in the market, draw my own conclusions, and help give a tool out that helps other people do the same.
Amazing. Well, thanks, Steve. You can go check out TBD at TBD.Market right now. I've been surfing it right now, just searching via follower account, etc.
What are you buying, Jess?
I mean, I've just been buying 11 a.m. man. I feel like I'm bullish on what we're doing. I'm like, why would I not just keep buying 11 a.m.? But it's
are we giving financial advice now? Let's go.
No, we're yeah. I personally am doing this. I am not a good trader. Not a good trader. Do not follow me. But yeah, I think it's interesting. There's a lot of, it looks very different than what you'd see on like a deck screener, because these markets are so different, right? There's a lot of, the top post here after I filtered, I think is beyond the base shake, which I think is a $3.4 million market cap that was falling off pretty big today. Is we're looking at markets that are, $15,000, $3,000, $233. And so these are just very, very different markets than folks who are maybe used to the Solana trenches and pumping, punting meme coins. So, yeah, I think it's interesting to see
we're still really early. I mean, last night I was looking, there were only like 13 tokens created with greater than $1,000 like market cap in the last 24 hours. Again, this is just on the base app. This isn't across the whole Zora network. The Zora and creator coin pairing, etc. That's a whole different ecosystem that Jacob is going to, speak to right after this. So this is just on the base app. But I will say that like the base app is in beta. They are sponsoring gas for everyone right now. And when it goes public, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
All right, Steve. Thanks so much, man. Best of luck.
All right. Always great chatting with you guys. Catch you later.
Peace.
Peace.